Relax now. Let your body become still. Let your eyes rest gently closed. Feel the quiet around you. Take a slow breath in and let it out even slower. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to think about. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your forehead to smooth. Let your hands rest loose and warm. Imagine a gentle medieval night wrapping around you like a soft woolen cloak. The air is cool but comforting. A faint breeze moves through tall grass somewhere far away. Leaves brush together in a slow, sleepy rhythm. Breathe in calm. Breathe out the weight of the day. With every breath, your thoughts grow quieter. With every pause between my words, your body grows heavier. And now, our story tonight begins at the edge of a quiet, medieval village, where a small stone workshop stands beneath the deep blue night sky. The village is asleep. Thatched roofs sit under silver moonlight. Wooden shutters are closed. No footsteps echo on the cobbled path. Only the soft whisper of wind moves through ivy climbing old stone walls. Inside the workshop, a single flame burns in a low hearth. Its glow is steady and warm. It does not flicker wildly. It simply breathes. An alchemist stands before the hearth. His robes are simple. His movements are slow and deliberate. He believes that all things in the world seek balance. On a wooden table rests a curved glass vessel. Inside it, crushed herbs and fine minerals wait patiently. A small iron stand holds the glass above the gentle flame. The fire warms the bottom of the vessel. Tiny bubbles begin to form. They rise slowly, softly, quietly. The alchemist watches without hurry. He adjusts the flame just a little. Not too strong, not too weak. Balance, he whispers. Outside, leaves rustle once more. Inside, the bubbling glass makes the faintest soothing sound, like distant rain. Like a soft kettle far away, the alchemist stirs the mixture once, slowly. Then he waits, because waiting is part of experiment. The alchemist rests the wooden spoon beside the vessel. He folds his hands loosely in front of him. He listens. The glass hums softly as warmth moves through it. The flame breathes in a slow rhythm. In and out, you may notice your own breathing matching that gentle pace. Slow, even, calm. A small pouch of dried chamomile lies open on the table. Its scent is faint and sweet. He lifts a careful pinch and lets it fall into the warming mixture. The herbs sink, pause, then drift upward again in lazy spirals. He nods, satisfied, not excited, not tense, simply steady. In the medieval belief he holds close to his heart, every substance carries a quiet desire. Stone wishes to rest, water wishes to flow, smoke wishes to rise. And all of them wish, in their own way, to find harmony. The alchemist believes that people are no different, that the mind, like the mixture in the glass, only needs the right warmth to settle into balance. Outside, the wind brushes gently along the wooden door. A soft wooden creak answers. Then stillness returns. Inside, golden firelight paints the stone walls in moving patterns. Shadows stretch and curl like slow-moving clouds. He adjusts a small hourglass beside him. Fine grains of sand slip from the upper chamber to the lower. Unhurried, certain, time is not something he chases. Time is something he listens to. The bubbling grows slightly stronger, yet remains gentle. No sharp sounds, no sudden bursts, just steady warmth. Steady motion. He leans closer, not in urgency, but in quiet curiosity. The surface of the liquid shimmers faintly. Tiny ripples form and smooth away. He smiles, barely. The experiment is unfolding exactly as it should. And as he watches the calm reaction within the glass, the entire workshop seems to settle deeper into silence. The hearth crackles softly. A log shifts. A small spark rises and disappears. Balance above, balance below. In and out. The alchemist reaches for a small mortar and pestle resting near the edge of the table. The stone is smooth from years of patient use. He places a few pale crystals inside. Slowly, he begins to grind. The sound is soft. A gentle circular scrape, stone against stone. Rhythmic, unhurried, round and round. Round and round, each motion steady, each breath even. The crystals become fine powder beneath his careful hand. He does not press too hard. He does not rush the change. He allows the material to become what it is ready to become. Outside, the wind quiets. The village sleeps deeper. A single lantern somewhere far down the road flickers and fades. Inside, warmth gathers comfortably in the workshop. The air smells faintly of herbs and wood smoke. Earthy, soft, comforting. The alchemist lifts the powdered mineral and sprinkles it gently into the glass vessel. A faint shimmer moves through the liquid. The bubbling pauses, then resumes, not louder, not faster, simply balanced again. He watches closely, yet his shoulders remain relaxed. His breathing never changes. Slow, steady. The flame lowers slightly as the wood beneath it settles into glowing embers. Orange light turns softer now, more golden than bright. The alchemist adjusts nothing. He understands that not every change requires action. Some changes simply need space. The glass vessel continues its quiet work. Small bubbles rise in gentle chains. They reach the surface and disappear without a sound. He walks slowly to a narrow window set deep within the stone wall. He opens the wooden shutter just a little. Cool night air slips inside. Fresh, clean, calm. It brushes across the warm room and balances the heat of the hearth. Fire and air, warmth and coolness, together. Outside, the moon rests above the sleeping rooftops. Silver light touches the tops of trees. Their branches sway ever so slightly. He listens to the distant rustle of leaves. A natural rhythm, like breathing. In and out, he closes the shutter halfway, leaving just enough space for the air to flow gently through. Returning to the table, he lifts a small leather-bound journal. Its pages are worn and soft. Ink marks fill it in tidy rows. He dips a quill into dark ink and writes slowly. Herbs warmed gently, minerals added without haste. Reaction steady, balance maintained. The scratching of quill against parchment is soft and soothing, back and forth. Line by line, he pauses, blows lightly to dry the ink. Then he looks once more at the glowing vessel. The liquid inside has settled into a calm shimmer. No rushing, no spilling, only quiet transformation. He believes the experiment mirrors the world, and perhaps mirrors the mind. Given warmth, given patience, given balance, everything finds its rest. The hearth sighs gently as a small ember collapses into ash. The room grows a shade dimmer, more peaceful. The alchemist sits down on a wooden stool. He folds his hands loosely in his lap, and he waits. Not with expectation, but with trust. The workshop grows quieter still. The kind of quiet that feels thick and comforting, like a wool blanket wrapped gently around the shoulders of the night. The alchemist watches the surface of the liquid. It no longer bubbles with effort. Now it moves in soft, slow currents, barely visible, barely there. He reaches for a small brass lid and places it lightly over the vessel, not sealing it tightly, just enough to let the warmth remain steady. The flame beneath has softened into a low glow, a patient glow. He leans back slightly on his stool. The wood creaks once beneath him. In the quiet, he can hear the faint ticking of cooling metal, the soft settling of stone, the whisper of night air brushing through the narrow opening of the shutter. He places one hand over his chest, feeling his own heartbeat. Slow, even, balanced. He believes the body is like his experiment. When heated by worry, it bubbles too quickly. When left too cold, it becomes still and heavy. When warmed just enough, it finds harmony on its own. A small copper kettle rests near the edge of the hearth. He pours warm water into a clay cup, drops a single leaf of mint inside. Steam rises in delicate curls. They twist upward and vanish into the dim air. He watches the steam the way he watches the mixture, without chasing it, without holding it, just observing. Outside, the village sleeps deeper. Clouds drift slowly across the moon. Shadows shift like slow breathing across the fields. The alchemist lifts the cup and takes a careful sip. Warmth spreads through him. Gentle, comforting. He sets the cup down and closes his eyes for a moment. The experiment continues quietly on its own now. The balance has been found. The elements are at peace with one another. And in that small stone workshop, beneath the steady glow of embers, nothing is hurried, nothing is forced. Only warmth, only patience, only calm transformation unfolding in perfect stillness. The minutes pass like drifting clouds, soft, unmeasured, untroubled. The alchemist opens his eyes again and rises slowly from the stool. His joints move without strain. His breath remains even. He lifts the brass lid just a fraction. A faint ribbon of steam escapes and curls into the air. It carries the scent of lavender and chamomile, earthy mineral, warm glass. He inhales gently, not deeply, just enough to sense the balance within the vapor. The surface of the liquid is smooth now. No bubbles rise. No ripples disturb it. The transformation is complete. He nods once, satisfied not with pride, but with quiet understanding. Nothing dramatic has occurred. No bright flashes. No sudden change. Only a steady movement toward harmony. He removes the vessel carefully from the iron stand and sets it upon a folded cloth. The glass gives a faint, settling sound as it cools. The flame in the hearth continues to glow low and amber, no longer needed for intensity, only for warmth. He extinguishes it gently with a small iron cover. The room grows dimmer, but not dark. Moonlight now spills softly through the narrow window. Silver replaces gold. The workshop feels wider in the quiet glow. Calmer. He carries the vessel to a shelf lined with other small bottles and jars, each one the result of patient waiting, each one created in stillness. He places this new experiment among them. Balanced, complete. Then he stands there for a moment longer, listening to the silence. The silence is not empty. It is full of cooled stone, full of sleeping village roofs, full of steady breath. He blows out the final candle on the table. A thin line of smoke rises, twists once, and fades, and in the darkness of the peaceful workshop, everything rests exactly as it should. The darkness is gentle, not heavy, not frightening, only soft, Moonlight continues to rest along the stone floor, a pale silver ribbon stretching quietly from the window to the far wall. The alchemist walks slowly along the narrow cobbled path. His footsteps are soft, measured, unhurried. The stones beneath his boots hold the memory of the day's warmth, now cooling gently under the night sky. A faint mist gathers near the ground. It drifts low across the road like a pale river of cloud. He pauses beside a small garden growing against the outer wall of his workshop. Thyme, sage, rosemary. Their leaves tremble lightly in the breeze. He brushes his fingers across them, not to gather, not to change, only to feel their quiet presence. The scent rises briefly into the air, fresh, green. Above him, the moon slips from behind a passing cloud. Silver light spills over rooftops and fields beyond the village. The world feels vast, yet perfectly still. He begins walking again, moving toward the edge of the village where tall grasses sway in the open fields. Each blade bends without resistance, then returns upright, bend, return, bend, return. He smiles faintly at the rhythm. In the old teachings, balance was never about force. It was about flow, about yielding when needed, about rising again without strain. The alchemist reaches the field and stands among the grasses. They brush gently against his robes. Soft whispers of movement surround him. He closes his eyes. He remains there in the tall grasses, unmoving. The field shifts gently around him, a slow wave of silver beneath the moon. Nothing startles the night. Nothing disturbs its rhythm. Far in the distance, a small stream winds through the meadow. Its water moves quietly over smooth stones. A soft murmur, a steady hush. The alchemist turns toward the sound and begins to walk. Each step parts the grass. Each step closes again behind him. No trace, no urgency. When he reaches the stream, he kneels carefully at its edge. The water reflects the moon like a broken mirror, shimmering softly with each ripple. He dips his fingers into the cool current. Cold, clear, refreshing. The warmth of the hearth is now far behind him. Here only water speaks. He cups a small amount in his palm and lets it fall back slowly. Droplets return without resistance. He watches the current carry them away. Flow without holding. Move without forcing. The balance of fire and water. Heat and coolness. The sound of the stream blends with the wind in the grass, blends with the faint hum of distant night insects. Everything moving, yet everything peaceful. He feels the earth steady beneath his knees. Solid, reliable. Above him the sky stretches endlessly, air cool and gentle against his skin. All four elements surrounding him. All four in harmony. The alchemist breathes in. Slow, deep, and as he exhales, he feels no difference between the balance in the glass vessel back in his workshop and the balance unfolding here in the quiet field beneath the stars. The world itself is the experiment, and tonight it is perfectly at rest. He remains by the stream a little longer. The water continues its gentle journey, never stopping, never rushing. He places his palm flat upon the earth beside him. Cool soil, firm ground. The earth does not hurry either. It simply supports. It simply holds. A soft cloud drifts across the moon once more. The silver light dims, then slowly brightens again. Change without disturbance. Movement without strain. The alchemist rises carefully from the bank of the stream. His robes settle around him. The grasses part and whisper as he steps back through the field. The village waits quietly ahead. Dark rooftops, sleeping windows. He walks at the same measured pace, neither faster nor slower than before. A small lantern near the well flickers faintly in the distance. Its glow is weak now, almost finished for the night. He pauses beside it and gently shields the flame with his hand. Not to keep it alive longer, only to let it fade peacefully. The lantern sighs into darkness. There is no need for more light. The moon is enough. He returns to his workshop door, places his hand upon the smooth wood, feels the memory of warmth still resting there. Inside, the shelves remain lined with quiet bottles. The finished experiment cools slowly. Nothing more must be done. He removes his outer robe and folds it neatly over a wooden chair. Sits once more upon the stool, not to work, not to change, only to sit. The room is still. The night is deep, and in that stillness he understands something simple and certain. Balance is not something created, it is something allowed. Allowed through patience, through gentleness, through trust. He closes his eyes one final time. The workshop breathes quietly around him. The village sleeps. The stream flows. The grasses sway. And everything is exactly as it should be. He does not rise again. He lets the quiet settle fully around him. The stool beneath him feels steady. The stone walls hold the night like a calm embrace. In the darkness, his senses grow softer. Not sharper, just softer. He can hear the faint, cooling tick of glass upon wood, the distant murmur of the stream beyond the fields, the whisper of wind brushing the roof above. Each sound arrives gently. Each sound leaves without echo. He places both hands loosely upon his knees. Palms open, fingers relaxed. There is nothing left to adjust, nothing left to measure. The great experiment of the evening has already completed itself. And now the only task remaining is rest. The alchemist lowers his chin slightly toward his chest. His breathing becomes slower still. In, a calm filling of lungs. Out, a soft release into the room. The shelves of glass bottles seem to glow faintly in moonlight. Silent witnesses to years of patient waiting. Outside, a final cloud drifts away from the moon. The sky clears. Stars shine more clearly now. The world does not demand attention. It simply exists in balance. The alchemist allows his thoughts to settle like dust in still air. No chasing, no holding, just settling. And as he rests there in the quiet workshop, surrounded by cooled stone and gentle silver light, the night deepens. The village sleeps. The elements remain in harmony. Fire reduced to memory. Water flowing steadily. Air moving softly. Earth supporting everything beneath. The balance he sought in glass and flame now rests within him as well. Calm. Complete. Unmoved. And slowly, gently, the alchemist drifts into peaceful sleep. And as the alchemist sleeps, the night keeps watch. Moonlight slides slowly across the stone floor, from one wall to the other. Time passes without announcement, without sound. The cooling vessel on the shelf releases the last of its warmth. The glass settles fully into stillness. Outside, the stream continues its silver path through the meadow. Uninterrupted, unconcerned, a faint mist gathers over the grasses, soft as breath, light as thought. Inside the workshop, the alchemist's breathing is deep and even. His chest rises gently, falls gently, in and out. His dreams are quiet ones, not filled with noise or confusion. He dreams of elements meeting without conflict, of fire warming without burning, of water flowing without flooding, of air moving without storm, of earth holding without weight. In his dream he stands once more before the curved glass vessel, but this time there is no flame beneath it, no tools, no herbs. The light pulses softly. Like a heartbeat, he understands in his dream that balance was never hidden in the mixture. It was never trapped in minerals or steam. It was always in the quiet space between effort and rest. The moon lowers gradually toward the horizon. Stars fade one by one. Dawn prepares itself silently beyond the hills. A faint line of pale blue stretches across the sky. The village still sleeps, but the air begins to change. Coolness softens. Bird song waits patiently at the edge of morning. Inside the workshop, the alchemist stirs slightly, not waking yet, just shifting within his peaceful rest. The night has done its work. It has cooled what was warm, settled what was stirred, balanced what once moved, and soon the first gentle light of dawn will enter through the narrow window. But for now, there is only stillness, only breath, only quiet harmony resting over the world like a soft and steady blessing. He lifts the cooled vessel carefully from the shelf. Morning light passes through the glass. The liquid inside catches the pale gold of dawn. Clear, settled, at peace. He holds it near the window. Outside, the sun slowly rises beyond the distant hills. Its light stretches across the fields, touches the stream. He opens the workshop door wide. Sunlight pours across the threshold. Soft gold warming cool stone. The air smells of fresh bread now, of damp earth touched by morning light. Villagers move along the narrow path. A woman carries a basket of herbs. A child walks beside her, quiet and curious. They nod respectfully as they pass. The alchemist nods back. No grand words are spoken. No announcements made. The balance of the night does not require explanation. He steps outside and lets the sunlight rest on his face. Warmth meeting cool morning air. Fire in the sky. Water in the stream. Air moving soft. He sets the basin just inside the doorway. Sunlight glimmers across the water's surface. Tiny ripples form from the motion of his steps, then fade. He kneels beside it and dips a cloth into the cool water. The cloth darkens slowly as it absorbs. He wrings it gently. No rush, no force. He wipes the wooden table where last night's vessel had rested. The grain of the wood shines softly in morning light. Cleaning is not a task to finish. It is a rhythm to follow. Wipe, pause, turn the cloth, wipe again. Still gentle, still steady. A cart passes, hooves move at an easy pace. Voices speak in low tones. Nothing breaks the calm carried over from the night. The alchemist stands and opens the shutters fully. Sunlight fills every corner now. Stone walls glow warmer. Glass bottles sparkle faintly. He breathes in deeply. He walks beyond the well this time, past the baker's doorway, past the small market stall where fresh herbs are laid in neat bundles. The villagers greet him softly. A nod, a quiet smile. They know him as the one who studies fire and glass. But few understand that his truest study is patience. He steps toward the edge of the village where the fields open wide again. Morning sunlight stretches long across the grasses. Dew glitters like scattered crystals. He bends and touches a single blade of grass. A droplet trembles at its tip. For a moment it clings, then it falls. Returning to the earth without resistance, he watches where it lands. There is no mark left behind. only continuation. A farmer nearby moves slowly along neat rows of soil, turning earth, not with haste, but with steady repetition. Lift, turn, step, lift, turn, step. The alchemist observes quietly. The same rhythm exists in tending soil as in tending flame. Too much force disrupts. Too little attention neglects. Balance rests in the middle. He closes his eyes briefly and listens. Bird song above. Wind through crops. The faint, distant sound of water flowing. The world is already in motion, already in harmony. He does not need to add to it, only to move within it gently. The warmth of the sun settles comfortably on his shoulders. Not hot, not cold, perfectly measured. And in that warmth, standing between earth and sky, the alchemist continues his quiet understanding that life itself is the gentle experiment, one breath at a time, in and out, steady, soft, balanced. He begins to walk back toward the village at the same unhurried pace. The sun has risen higher now. Light rests evenly across rooftops and fields. A soft breeze moves past him, warm at the edges, cool at the center. It brushes his sleeves and continues on. Nothing clings. Nothing holds too tightly. He passes the stream again. Morning light turns its surface pale gold. The water looks different than it did beneath the moon, yet it flows the same way, always moving, always balanced between stone and sky. He pauses on the small wooden footbridge and looks down. Tiny leaves drift along the current. Some spin briefly in small circles, then find their path again. He smiles. Even when caught in a gentle whirl, the stream does not struggle. It simply continues when the time is right. The village behind him hums softly now. A distant hammer strike. A door closing. Footsteps moving across stone. Each sound belongs. Each sound has its place. He returns to his workshop once more. Not because he must, but because it feels natural to step inside the space where flame and glass once met. Sunlight now fills the room completely. The shelf of bottles glows like a quiet row of captured mornings. He stands before them, breathing evenly. The experiment of the night rests complete. The experiment of the day unfolds steadily. There is no difference between them, only changing light. He places his hand lightly against the stone wall. It is warming slowly from the rising sun. The world continues to adjust itself without strain. And so does he, one slow breath, then another, balance in motion, harmony in change. The gentle experiment never truly ends. It simply carries forward, through flame, through water, through air, through earth, and through every quiet, patient heartbeat. He remains there for a few quiet moments more, hand resting against the warming stone. The wall holds the memory of the night's coolness, yet slowly accepts the sun's warmth, not resisting, not clinging, simply adjusting. He lowers his hand and moves toward the center of the room. Dust motes drift lazily in the sunlight, tiny particles floating without direction, yet never colliding in chaos. They rise, they fall. The morning stretches onward, light growing fuller, yet never harsh. He steps fully into the sunlight now. The warmth settles across his shoulders like a familiar cloak. A neighbor passes carrying a small bundle of firewood. They exchange a simple glance, a quiet understanding. No need for many words. The alchemist walks slowly along the village path once more, not searching, not measuring, just observing. A woman kneads dough at an open window. Her hands press and fold in steady rhythm. Press, fold, turn, press, fold, turn. He notices how her breathing matches the motion, unconsciously balanced. Further along, a young boy fills a bucket at the well. The rope lowers smoothly. The water accepts it, then rises again with gentle effort. Everything working with the world, not against it. The alchemist pauses near a patch of sunlit stone and closes his eyes for a brief moment. The sounds of the village blend together, hammer and bird, footstep and breeze, water and distant laughter. Not noise, a tapestry of motion. He realizes the experiment of last night was only a small reflection of something much greater. The world itself warms and cools, stirs and settles, rises and rests, and in between each change, there is always balance waiting patiently to return. He opens his eyes again. The sky is bright now, blue and open. He feels steady within it. Not pulled forward, not left behind. Simply present. One breath moves through him, then another. The gentle experiment continues, not in secret chambers, not in hidden glass vessels, but in the quiet choice to move slowly, to observe softly, to allow life to unfold without force. And as the day carries on, so does the calm rhythm within him. Balanced, steady, at ease. He walks beyond the final row of cottages, where the village thins into open countryside. The sun now rests higher in the sky, yet its warmth remains kind, not pressing, not overwhelming. Fields stretch outward in soft waves of green and gold. A distant tree stands alone near a bend in the stream. He makes his way toward it, each step measured, each footfall light. Grass brushes against his boots. Insects hum lazily in the bright air. When he reaches the tree, he settles at its base. The bark is rough against his back, the earth beneath him firm and welcoming. Above, leaves shimmer in the breeze. Their shadows dance softly across his closed eyelids. Light, shade, light, shade. A natural rhythm. He rests his hands loosely on his lap once more, palms open. Fingers relaxed, the warmth of the sun touches one side of his face. The cool whisper of wind brushes the other. Perfect middle. He listens to the steady murmur of the stream nearby, to the distant murmur of village life behind him. Near, far, all balanced, his breathing slows again. In, filling gently with warm daylight. Out, releasing into open air. He understands now that the gentle experiment has no final page, no final flame to extinguish. It is carried in moments like this, sitting beneath a tree, watching leaves turn and return, feeling sun and breeze share the same space. Nothing to adjust, nothing to perfect, only presence. And as he rests there beneath the quiet canopy, the world continues its patient turning, steady as breath, soft as wind, balanced as the heart at peace. He remains beneath the tree as the morning slowly leans toward midday. The shadows shorten, the light grows whiter, yet nothing feels hurried. A bee wanders lazily from flower to flower nearby. Its movement is purposeful, yet never frantic. Land, pause, lift, land, pause, lift. The alchemist watches without shifting his calm posture. The stream continues its quiet speech over stone. The leaves above him murmur in soft agreement. He notices how the wind changes slightly as the sun climbs. Warmer now. but still gentle. He places one hand upon the ground beside him. The soil has warmed since dawn. Morning coolness replaced by steady heat. Change without disturbance. He opens his eyes and looks toward the horizon. The fields shimmer faintly in sunlight, life moving in small, continuous patterns. A farmer walks in the distance, step after step. The alchemist understands something deeper now. Balance is not stillness alone. It is motion guided softly. He rises slowly from the base of the tree, not because rest has ended, but because movement now feels natural. He brushes the earth from his robe with light strokes. Then he begins walking along the edge of the stream once more. The water glints brightly beneath the sun, no longer silver, now gold and clear. He smiles faintly at the transformation. Night showed him quiet glow. Morning showed him gentle warmth. He follows the stream as it curves softly through the meadow. The water narrows, then widens, shallow in places, deeper in others, yet it never loses its direction. Sunlight dances across its surface in scattered reflections, bright flickers that appear and vanish in the same breath. He walks beside it, keeping the same unhurried pace. A dragonfly hovers briefly above the water, wings trembling in place. Then it glides forward and disappears into tall reeds. The air feels warmer now, but still kind. He bends slightly and trails his fingers through the stream as he walks. Cool water against warm skin. Contrast. Balance. He lifts his hand and lets droplets fall back one by one. They rejoin the current without resistance. Nothing is lost. Nothing is forced to stay. He pauses at a smooth stone resting half submerged near the bank. Sits upon it. The stone holds warmth from the sun. The water beside it holds coolness from shaded bends upstream, warm and cool together. He closes his eyes once more. The sounds of midday settle into a steady hum. Insects, water, wind brushing through distant fields. His breathing blends with it all, in and out. There is no difference now between his breath and the rhythm of the stream. He realizes the experiment never needed glass or flame. It needed attention, patience. Soft awareness, the sun moves slowly overhead. Clouds drift lazily across open blue. And as he sits upon the warm stone beside the flowing water, the gentle experiment continues. Not through effort, but through quiet presence in each passing moment. He opens his eyes slowly and watches the current move past the stone where he sits. A single leaf drifts into view. It spins gently in a small circle where the water curves. For a moment it seems caught. Then, without struggle, it slips free and continues downstream. He studies that simple motion. Nothing forced the leaf forward. Nothing held it back for long. The stream allowed both pause and movement. He inhales deeply, feeling the warmth of midday sun on his shoulders. He exhales, sensing the cool breath of water rising from below. Above him, clouds gather softly and drift apart again. Shade crosses the meadow in slow waves. Then light returns. Light, shade, light. The rhythm continues without conflict. He rises from the stone and begins walking once more, following the path where grass meets water. In the distance, the village hum has softened into background sound. Life continues there. Tasks unfolding, voices speaking. Yet here, beside the stream, the world feels spacious and unhurried. He bends to pick up a small pebble from the bank. Smooth, cool. He holds it in his palm and considers how long water must have shaped it so gently. Not in a day, not in a week, but through steady contact. through patience. He places the pebble back exactly where he found it. There is no need to carry it away. He understands now that balance is shaped the same way, not through sudden change, but through steady attention. He continues walking beneath the open sky. His shadow moves beside him, stretching and shortening as clouds pass overhead. And with each quiet step along the flowing stream, the gentle experiment carries on. In sunlight, in movement, in breath that remains slow, even, and at peace. The afternoon begins to soften almost without notice. The brightness of midday eases into a warmer tone. Gold replaces white. The alchemist feels the subtle shift in the air, a gentler warmth, a quieter light. He turns back toward the village, following the stream until the first rooftops come into view. Smoke rises in thin lines from a few chimneys, meals being prepared, water being warmed. The sounds of work begin to slow, hammering less frequent, voices lower. The day, like the experiment before it, moves towards settling. He crosses the small wooden bridge once more. The boards creak softly beneath his weight. Familiar, comforting. A child sits near the water's edge, dropping small twigs into the current, watching them float away. Drop, drift, disappear. The alchemist pauses, observing the simple rhythm. The child does not try to guide the twig, does not run along the bank to chase it, only watches. He nods quietly and continues walking. The workshop door stands slightly open, welcoming him back inside. Sunlight now angles through the window at a lower slant. Dust motes glow again in amber light. The vessel on the shelf catches the afternoon sun differently now. Its surface gleams warm and honey-colored. He touches the table gently as he passes. The wood holds heat from the day. Outside, the breeze shifts direction. Cooler now, evening approaching slowly. He understands that just as flame softened into embers and night softened into dawn, so too does day soften into evening. The cycle continues without effort. He stands in the center of the workshop once more, breathing in, carrying the warmth of afternoon, out, releasing into gathering calm. The gentle experiment unfolds again, not in bubbling glass, but in the quiet transition of light, in the steady turning of hours, in the peaceful balance between what has passed and what is gently arriving next. The sun lowers slowly toward the hills beyond the fields. Its light deepens into amber once more, familiar, comforting. The alchemist steps outside his workshop and watches the long shadows stretch across the cobbled path. The village has grown quieter again. Doors close softly, footsteps fade. Voices drift into homes and settle. The air cools by a small degree, just enough to notice. He walks toward the well one last time before evening fully arrives. The water reflects the sky now painted in soft gold and pale rose. He lowers the bucket gently. The rope slides through his hands with steady friction. Splash. He lifts it back up, water trembling at the surface. For a moment, the reflection breaks. Then it smooths, as it always does. He pours a small measure into his basin and carries it back to the workshop. Inside, the room feels calm and waiting. The day has warmed the stones. Now they begin to release that warmth slowly. He lights a single candle, not to chase away darkness, only to welcome it gently. The flame rises small and steady, fire returning. He sits once more on the wooden stool, hands resting loosely in his lap. Outside, the final birdsong fades into evening hush. The sky shifts from gold to deepening blue. The first star appears. He watches through the narrow window. Day and night meeting again. Light and shadow sharing the same horizon. The gentle experiment continues in this meeting, not dramatic, not loud, simply balanced. He breathes slowly as the candle flame flickers once. In, carrying the memory of sunlight. Out, welcoming the quiet of night. And as twilight settles over the village once more, the alchemist remains still, a quiet witness to the endless harmony unfolding around him. Twilight deepens with unhurried grace. The sky moves from blue to indigo, from indigo to velvet dusk. The single candle on the table casts a warm circle of light. Small, steady. The alchemist watches the flame without blinking. It bends slightly when a breeze slips through the narrow window, then straightens again. Yield, return. He does not close the shutter this time. He allows the cool evening air to mingle with the candle's warmth, warm and cool sharing the same room. Outside, the village has nearly fallen silent. A final door closes. A final footstep crosses stone. The world prepares for rest once more. He stands and moves to the shelf where last night's vessel rests. He lifts it carefully, holding it near the candlelight. The liquid within glows softly, reflecting the flame, not bubbling, not shifting, still. He understands that the experiment continues not because it changes, but because it remains steady through change. He sets the vessel back and extinguishes the candle gently between two fingers. A thin ribbon of smoke rises, twists once in the dim air, then disappears. Darkness returns, not sudden, not sharp, soft. Moonlight once again slips through the window. Silver replaces gold. He sits once more on the stool, breathing slow, even, the same rhythm as before. In, cool night air filling his lungs. Out, a gentle release into stillness. Outside, the stream continues to murmur. The grasses sway lightly. Stars appear one by one overhead. The cycle has come full circle. Night meeting night. And in the quiet workshop at the edge of the sleeping village, the alchemist rests within the balance he once sought to create. Now understanding, it was always here, always steady. The moon climbs a little higher, pouring its quiet silver into the room. The alchemist remains seated, eyes half closed. He does not think about tomorrow. He does not replay yesterday. He simply listens. The faint murmur of the stream beyond the fields, the distant rustle of leaves brushing one another in the night breeze, the soft, settling sound of wood and stone cooling after the day, everything easing downward. He lets his breathing follow that same descent. In, slow and unforced. Out, long and quiet. The workshop feels larger in darkness. Walls, no longer defined by bright edges. Shelves softened into shadow. Nothing demanding attention. He folds his hands gently. Not in effort, just in comfort. Outside, a single owl calls once into the night. The sound travels across rooftops and fades into open fields. Silence follows, complete. He feels the balance not only in the air, not only in the elements around him, but in the steady rhythm of his own heart. Warmth and coolness, light and dark, motion and rest, all present, all in quiet agreement. The experiment has become something simpler now. Not a mixture of herbs, not a careful flame beneath glass. Just awareness. Awareness of breath entering and leaving. Awareness of the world turning gently without strain. He lowers his head slightly. The moonlight shifts as clouds pass overhead. Shadows glide slowly across the floor. Time moves, yet nothing feels lost. The alchemist allows himself to sink fully into the calm of the night once more. No striving, no searching, only presence. And as the quiet deepens around him, the gentle experiment continues in its simplest form. Breath, balance, being. The hours drift onward like soft clouds crossing a silent sky. He does not measure them. He does not count them. The moonlight shifts slowly across the stone floor, tracing quiet patterns that appear and fade. A breeze moves gently through the open window. It carries the scent of night grass and distant water. Cool, fresh, uncomplicated. He inhales. The air feels lighter now, deeper. He exhales. The room seems to breathe with him. In the stillness, small details become noticeable. The faint creak of wooden beams adjusting. The subtle whisper of fabric settling against his robe. The steady, calm pulse within his chest. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent. Only quiet life unfolding in its own time. He rises slowly and steps toward the window. The village lies beneath the silver sky once more, rooftops resting, paths empty. The stream reflects the moon in broken fragments of light. He places his hand on the cool stone ledge, feels the contrast between night air and the warmth still lingering in his palm. Opposites meeting gently. He understands now that the experiment was never about controlling the elements. It was about witnessing their conversation. Fire warming water, water cooling stone, air moving between them all, earth holding steady beneath. He closes his eyes again. The world continues without instruction, without correction, balanced in its own rhythm. And he remains a quiet part of that rhythm, breathing in calm, breathing out ease. The gentle experiment carries on in every silent moment, in every rising and falling breath, in every soft exchange between light and shadow. And there, in the quiet embrace of night, everything rests exactly where it belongs. The night grows deeper, yet never heavier. The stars appear brighter now, scattered across the dark sky like quiet embers. He steps back from the window and returns to the center of the workshop. The floor is cool beneath his feet. The air balanced between warmth remembered and coolness arriving. He lowers himself slowly to the stool once more. There is no need for flame tonight, no need for tools. Only the steady rhythm of being. Outside, the stream continues its endless path. The grasses bow and rise with each passing breeze. Bow, rise, bow, rise. The world breathes without effort. He allows his eyelids to close fully now. Darkness behind them feels soft and complete. His thoughts move like the leaf that once spun in the stream, turning gently, then finding their path forward. No thought lingers too long. None demands attention. They pass as clouds pass. He notices the quiet space between breaths. That gentle pause, not empty, not waiting, simply still. That pause holds the same balance he sought in flame and glass. He rests in that pause. In, a calm filling of lungs. Pause. Out, a slow release. Pause. Over and over. The experiment continues in this simplest pattern. Breath meeting stillness. Stillness meeting breath. Outside, the horizon holds the faintest hint of change once again. Not yet dawn, but the promise of it. The cycle turning quietly. And the alchemist, seated in his stone workshop, is no longer seeking balance. He is resting within it. The faint promise of dawn lingers far beyond the hills, though the sky remains deep and dark. He sits without effort now, without intention. The balance he once tried to measure has become something softer, something lived. A quiet warmth rests in his chest, not from flame, not from sunlight, from stillness. Outside, the night air shifts gently. A cooler current moves through the open window and brushes his face. He does not move to close it. He allows it. The stream continues its patient song, unbroken, unchanged. The stars slowly wheel across the sky, their motion too subtle to notice in a single glance, yet constant. He senses that movement without seeing it. Time passing, he lowers his head slightly, chin near his chest. His breathing remains deep and even. In, cool air flowing in. Out, warmth flowing out. Exchange. Nothing held. Nothing resisted. The workshop walls seem to fade into shadow. The shelves dissolve into quiet outlines. There is no separation now between inside and outside. Only space. Only calm. The gentle experiment has become the simplest truth. When warmth meets coolness without conflict, when movement meets stillness without force, harmony appears naturally. He rests in that understanding, not thinking it, not repeating it, just resting. And as the edge of dawn prepares to rise once more beyond the unseen horizon, the alchemist remains steady, balanced fully. At peace within the endless turning of night into morning, a thin line of pale light begins to gather at the farthest edge of the sky. Not bright, not sudden, just a gentle lifting of darkness. The alchemist does not open his eyes yet. He senses the change through the air alone. A subtle softening, a quiet shift. The world is turning once more. Outside, the first bird offers a single careful note, then silence. Then another. The stream carries that sound briefly along its surface. He inhales slowly. The air now carries the faint coolness that belongs only to early dawn. He exhales. A softness settles deeper within him. The workshop remains dim, yet no longer dark. Shapes begin to return to gentle outline. The table, the curved glass vessel resting in perfect stillness. He opens his eyes gradually. There is no need to hurry into the day. He simply watches as light increases by degrees too small to measure. The silver of night fades into pale blue. Blue shifts toward the first hint of gold, another cycle completing itself. He rises slowly from the stool and steps toward the window once more. The horizon glows softly. Fields beyond the village begin to reveal themselves again. Dew rests on the grasses. Mist lingers low. The gentle experiment continues without interruption. Night becoming morning. Coolness welcoming warmth. He places his hand lightly on the window frame, breath steady. In, drawing in the promise of a new day. Out, releasing any need to guide it. He understands now more fully than before. Balance does not require effort. It requires allowance. And as dawn quietly unfolds across the sky, the alchemist stands calm and untroubled, a quiet witness to the endless gentle harmony of the world turning once again. The light strengthens, though it never rushes. Gold begins to touch the tops of distant trees. Mist lifts slowly from the meadow like a quiet farewell to night. The alchemist remains at the window, watching the transformation unfold in silence. He notices how nothing resists the morning. The darkness does not cling. The light does not force. They exchange places gently. A soft warmth brushes across his face as the first true rays of sunlight reach the workshop. He closes his eyes and allows that warmth to rest there. In, morning air cool and clean. Behind him, the glass vessel catches the newborn sunlight. For a moment it glows brighter than before. Not because it changed, but because the light around it changed. He turns and walks back toward the table, touches the glass lightly with his fingertips. It is neither warm nor cold, simply neutral. Balanced, he smiles faintly. Outside, the village begins to stir again. A door opens. A broom sweeps softly across stone. Life returns in gentle layers. He moves to the hearth and prepares it quietly for the coming evening. Not to ignite it yet, only to arrange the wood. Preparation without urgency. The gentle experiment continues, not through flame or water alone, but through simple attention to the present moment. He steps outside once more, allowing the full light of dawn to surround him. The fields glow softly. The stream sparkles under early sun. The world has awakened. Yet the calm of night remains within him. And as he stands between the warmth of rising sun and the cool memory of starlight, he carries forward the quiet understanding. That harmony is not created. It is recognized. One breath at a time. In and out, steady, gentle, unbroken. He steps fully into the new day, yet he carries the softness of the night within him. The sun rises higher, warming stone and soil alike. Light spreads across the village rooftops in slow, widening bands. He walks along the path once more, not to reach anywhere, but simply to move with the morning. A baker's window opens wide. The scent of fresh bread drifts into the air. Warm, inviting. A farmer leads a horse quietly toward the fields. Hooves press against earth in steady rhythm. Press. The alchemist observes without interfering. He feels how the village wakes in balance. Work beginning gently. Voices low and calm. No rushing, no strain. He reaches the stream again and watches sunlight scatter across its surface. The water that flowed beneath moonlight now glitters in full daylight. Different appearance. Same movement. He kneels once more and touches the current, cool against his skin. The contrast reminds him that change does not disturb balance. It reveals it in new forms. He stands and closes his eyes briefly, feeling sun and breeze meet across his face. Warmth and coolness sharing space. He breathes deeply. In, carrying light into his chest. Out, releasing quiet gratitude. The gentle experiment continues through each simple action. Through walking, through watching, through breathing. And as the day opens wide around him, the alchemist remains steady, moving softly within the endless rhythm of a world that already knows how to stay in harmony. The morning settles into its full brightness. Shadows shorten beneath rooftops. The sky stretches clear and wide above the village. The alchemist walks back toward his workshop once more, though there is no urgency in his steps. He notices how the cobbled stones feel warmer now beneath his boots, how the air carries a gentle hum of daily life. A woman waters small clay pots by her doorway. Water pours in a steady stream. Soil darkens. Moisture sinks in quietly. Nothing wasted. Nothing rushed. He nods softly as he passes. Inside the workshop, sunlight fills every corner. The shelves gleam softly. The wooden table holds a golden sheen. He does not reach for tools. He does not light the hearth. Instead, he opens the door fully and lets the air move through freely. Warm air enters. Cool air leaves. Exchange without effort. He stands in the doorway for a moment, half in light, half in shade. The perfect middle once again. The experiment no longer belongs to herbs or flame. It belongs to the quiet awareness in each breath he takes. He places one hand over his heart, feels the steady rhythm. In, life entering. Out, life continuing. The village carries on around him, work and rest moving side by side, and he understands that the gentle experiment will never truly end. It flows through morning and evening, through light and shadow, through effort and ease, just as the stream flows through meadow and stone. And so he remains where he is, present, steady, calm, breathing softly within a world that turns in perfect, patient balance. The day moves onward in quiet layers. Mid-morning warmth deepens, yet it never overwhelms. Clouds drift slowly across the wide blue sky, offering brief moments of shade before passing on. The alchemist steps back inside and sits once more at his table. He runs his fingers lightly along the grain of the wood, smooth in some places, textured in others. Even the table holds its own balance of rough and refined. He pours a small cup of water from the basin. The surface trembles as it settles, then becomes clear and still. He watches his reflection steady in the cup, not searching for answers, only noticing. Outside, the steady rhythm of the village continues. A cartwheel rolls over stone. A door closes gently. Laughter rises and fades. The sounds do not disturb him. They blend into the larger hum of life. He lifts the cup and takes a slow sip. Coolness spreads across his tongue, down his throat. Refreshing, he sets the cup down and breathes once more. In, drawing in the warmth of the sunlit room. Out, releasing into calm presence. The gentle experiment now exists in every ordinary moment, in how he lifts a cup, in how he sets it down, in how he stands and walks without hurry. He rises and moves toward the shelf where the vessel rests. He does not open it, does not alter it. He simply acknowledges it with a soft glance, a reminder that patience shapes all things. Then he turns back toward the open doorway where sunlight and breeze continue their quiet exchange. And there, in the simple rhythm of midday life, the alchemist continues his practice, not of transformation through flame, but of balance through awareness, breath by breath, step by step, steady as the turning earth beneath his feet. The day moves onward in quiet layers. Mid-morning warmth deepens, yet it never overwhelms. Clouds drift slowly across the wide blue sky, offering brief moments of shade before passing on. The alchemist steps back inside and sits once more at his table. He runs his fingers lightly along the grain of the wood, smooth in some places, textured in others. Even the table holds its own balance of rough and refined. He pours a small cup of water from the basin. The surface trembles as it settles, then becomes clear and still. He watches his reflection steady in the cup, not searching for answers, only noticing. Outside, the steady rhythm of the village continues. A cartwheel rolls over stone. A door closes gently. Laughter rises and fades. The sounds do not disturb him. They blend into the larger hum of life. He lifts the cup and takes a slow sip. Coolness spreads across his tongue, down his throat. Refreshing, he sets the cup down and breathes once more. In, drawing in the warmth of the sunlit room. Out, releasing into calm presence. The gentle experiment now exists in every ordinary moment, in how he lifts a cup, in how he sets it down, in how he stands and walks without hurry. He rises and moves toward the shelf where the vessel rests. He does not open it, does not alter it. He simply acknowledges it with a soft glance, a reminder that patience shapes all things. Then he turns back toward the open doorway where sunlight and breeze continue their quiet exchange. And there, in the simple rhythm of midday life, the alchemist continues his practice, not of transformation through flame, but of balance through awareness, breath by breath, step by step, steady as the turning earth beneath his feet. The sun begins its slow descent, though the day still feels wide and open. Light softens almost imperceptibly. Shadows stretch a little longer across the workshop floor. The alchemist steps outside once more, feeling the change without needing to measure it. A breeze carries the scent of warmed grass and distant water. The stream continues its quiet murmur beyond the fields. He walks along the edge of the village path, watching as daily tasks near their gentle completion. A farmer stacks tools neatly by a fence. A woman gathers linens from a line, folding them carefully. Fold. Smooth. Stack. Each action deliberate, each movement calm. The alchemist notices how the entire village shifts from effort toward rest. Not suddenly, not abruptly. Gradually, the sky transitions from bright blue to softened gold. He reaches the footbridge once more and pauses at its center. Water glides beneath him, reflecting the changing sky. Gold becoming amber, amber deepening toward rose. The colors move across the surface without disturbing its steady flow. He rests his hands on the wooden rail, feels the warmth stored from the day beginning to release. Everything returns gently toward balance. He closes his eyes for a moment, drawing in the softened light of late afternoon. Out, releasing into gathering calm. He senses that soon, once again, evening will settle across rooftops. Candlelight will replace sunlight. Moonlight will follow. The cycle continues without strain. He opens his eyes and smiles softly. The gentle experiment never truly began. It never truly ends. It simply unfolds in the rising and falling of light, in the cooling of stone, in the steady rhythm of breath. And as the sun lowers toward the horizon once more, the alchemist remains steady within the turning of day toward night. Balanced, present, at peace. The sun slips closer to the horizon, and the sky begins to glow in layered colors. Soft gold deepens into amber. Amber melts into rose. Rose fades gently toward violet. The alchemist walks back toward his workshop, not because he must, but because the rhythm of the day carries him there. The village quiets once again. Footsteps slow, voices lower, shutters close one by one. A thin curl of smoke rises from a distant chimney and dissolves into the evening air. He pauses outside his door and looks across the fields. The stream reflects the sky like polished metal. Grasses sway in long, quiet waves. The air feels cooler now. Gentle, inviting rest. He steps inside and leaves the door slightly open, allowing twilight to enter with him. The workshop glows faintly in the fading light. The shelf of glass bottles holds the last shimmer of the sun. He does not light a candle yet. He allows the dimness to deepen naturally. Day releasing into night. He sits upon the wooden stool once more. The familiar place, the steady center. In, a slow breath, carrying the cool of evening. Out, A long exhale releasing the warmth of the day. Outside, the first star appears again in the darkening sky. The cycle returns. Fire once more will be needed for warmth. Water will flow quietly in darkness. Air will cool and drift. Earth will hold steady beneath it all. The elements meeting again in gentle conversation. He folds his hands loosely and lets the twilight settle around him. There is nothing to correct, nothing to pursue. Only balance, arriving on its own. And as evening wraps softly around the sleeping village, the alchemist rests in the calm understanding that harmony is not something achieved. It is something allowed, breath by breath, light by fading light, until night embraces the world once more. Twilight dissolves fully into night. The sky deepens into rich indigo once again. Stars brighten slowly, one by one, as if remembering their places. The alchemist rises quietly and lights a single candle. The flame lifts gently. Not tall, not restless, just enough its glow touches the nearby stone and wood, softening their edges. He sits once more, watching the small fire move with delicate patience. It leans slightly when a breeze drifts through the open doorway, then straightens again. Lean, return. The rhythm is familiar now. Outside, the village has fallen into silence. Only the distant murmur of the stream continues. He listens carefully. The water sounds different at night. Lower, deeper, but still steady. He closes his eyes and lets the sound blend with his breathing. In, warm candlelight flickering behind his eyelids. Out, cool night air brushing his skin. The gentle experiment continues, not in glass or flame alone, but in this quiet exchange between warmth and coolness. He feels no need to prepare new mixtures, no need to seek new formulas. He understands that the truest transformation happens without force. It happens in allowing night to arrive, in allowing day to depart, in allowing breath to flow without resistance. He opens his eyes and watches the candle one last time. The flame is small, yet unwavering. The candle burns lower, its flame shortening with quiet dignity. Wax softens, a small pool gathers around the wick. Nothing hurries the process. The alchemist watches without thought, without anticipation. He understands now that even a flame knows when to rise and when to fade. Outside, the moonlight spreads across rooftops and fields. Silver threads weave through the meadow grasses. The stream glows faintly beneath the sky, reflecting scattered stars. He rises and gently cups his hand around the candle flame, not to extinguish it yet, only to feel its warmth once more. Heat against cool night air. Contrast. Balance. He lets the flame continue until it thins to a final steady glow. Then, with a soft breath, he extinguishes it. Darkness returns. Not empty, not heavy. Peaceful. Moonlight slips freely into the workshop again, reclaiming the quiet space. He moves toward the window and gazes at the wide sky above. The stars appear uncountable, yet each one holds its place. The world turns slowly beneath them. He feels that turning now, not as motion, but as steady presence. His breathing deepens. In, cool and expansive. Out, slow and releasing. There is no experiment left to conduct, no balance left to find. It has revealed itself in every cycle of light and shadow. He sits once more upon the stool, letting the night wrap gently around him. The stream continues its quiet song. The grasses whisper. The sky watches in stillness. The workshop is fully surrendered to night now. No flame, no ember, Only the soft silver glow of the moon and the patient hush of darkness. The alchemist sits without movement, yet not rigid, his posture easy, his breath slow. Outside, a gentle wind travels across the fields. It moves through tall grasses in long, whispering waves. Wave, settle. Wave, settle. The sound reaches him faintly through the open window. He lets it blend with the steady murmur of the stream. Two rhythms meeting, neither louder, neither dominant, simply together. He places his hands loosely over his heart, feels the steady pulse beneath his palms, warmth within cool night air, balance without effort. Clouds drift slowly across the moon. Shadows pass through the room in soft motions. Light, dark, light again. Nothing remains fixed. Nothing resists change. He understands now that harmony is not stillness alone. It is the gentle agreement between shifting things. His breathing grows deeper. In, night filling his lungs like quiet water. Out, warmth flowing softly back into the room. The stars continue their silent arc overhead. The earth continues its patient turning. And within the small stone workshop at the edge of the village, the alchemist no longer studies balance. He embodies it, not through effort, not through thought, but through simple presence in each unfolding moment. The gentle experiment has dissolved into being itself, breath after breath, until night deepens fully once more and carries him gently toward rest beneath the endless sky. The night grows quieter still. Even the wind softens, as though it too is ready to rest. The moon shifts westward, lowering slowly beyond the distant fields. Its silver light thins across the stone floor. The alchemist feels the change without opening his eyes. The cooling of air, the deepening hush. He lets his shoulders drop just a little more. There is no task waiting, no flame to tend. Only this gentle descent into stillness. Outside, the stream continues its steady flow, unconcerned with time, untroubled by darkness. A final cloud drifts past the moon and dissolves. The stars hold their places quietly. He breathes in once more, in cool night air brushing softly against him. Out, a slow release of the day's final warmth. His thoughts no longer wander. They settle like dust in undisturbed light. No seeking, no measuring, only calm awareness. The gentle experiment is complete in this moment, not because something has ended, but because nothing needs to begin. He rests his hands loosely at his sides. The workshop stands silent around him. The village sleeps. The fields whisper faintly under starlight. And as the moon lowers further beyond the horizon, the alchemist drifts into quiet rest once more. Balanced, steady, carried gently by the endless rhythm of night turning toward another unseen dawn. The horizon begins to pale once more, so softly that it is almost unnoticeable. The moon fades. The stars dim one by one. The alchemist remains still, resting in the final quiet breath of night. Cool air lingers in the workshop. The stone floor holds the memory of darkness, its voice unchanged by the coming light. A single bird stirs in the distance. Then, another. The sky shifts from indigo to deep blue. He opens his eyes slowly. No rush, no sudden movement. Just awareness returning like gentle daylight. He feels the balance within him before he even rises. Warmth and coolness sharing space. Stillness and motion meeting quietly. He stands and walks toward the window. The fields are visible once more. Mist resting lightly above the grasses. Dawn arrives again, as it always does, without force, without demand. He breathes in the new air of morning. In, fresh and clear; out, soft and steady. The gentle experiment has circled back to its beginning. Night into dawn, dawn into day. And through it all, the alchemist understands that balance is not a destination. It is the quiet rhythm beneath every change. He smiles faintly as the first sunlight touches the edge of the world. Another day unfolds. Another gentle cycle begins, and he remains steady within it, breathing, observing, at peace with the endless turning of light and shadow. The first true ray of sunlight slips across the horizon and reaches the meadow. It moves slowly, touching the tops of grasses still jeweled with dew. Each droplet glimmers briefly, then softens as warmth increases. The alchemist watches from the window, calm and unhurried. He notices how the mist does not resist the light. It thins gradually. It rises gently. It becomes something else. Transformation without struggle. He steps outside and feels the cool earth beneath his feet. The ground still holds the night's memory. The air carries both chill and promise. In, morning freshness, filling his lungs. Out, a quiet release into the day. Behind him, the workshop stands open and welcoming. Ahead of him, the fields stretch wide and luminous. The village begins to stir once more. A door creaks. Footsteps echo lightly on stone. Life returns in soft layers, just as it did yesterday. He walks toward the stream again, following the same familiar path. The water reflects the rising sun in pale gold streaks. Its surface glows gently, yet the current beneath remains steady. Surface brightness, deep calm. He kneels beside it and watches the play of light across flowing water. The stream does not hurry because the sun has risen. It continues at its own balanced pace. He smiles faintly. Balance remains through every change. He dips his fingers once more into the current. Coolness meeting warmth. Opposites, yet not opposed. He stands and closes his eyes briefly beneath the open sky. The gentle experiment continues, not in secrecy, not in effort, but in this simple awareness of breath and light, in the steady rhythm of morning unfolding, in the quiet certainty that harmony does not need to be created. It only needs to be noticed. And as the sun climbs higher once more, the alchemist remains present, moving softly within the endless, patient turning of the world. The sun rises higher, spreading warmth across the meadow in widening circles. Birdsong grows fuller now. Not loud, just alive. The alchemist walks slowly along the stream, letting the sound of water and wing and wind blend into one steady harmony. He notices how the grasses lean toward the light, how the dew disappears without regret. Nothing clings to the night, nothing resists the day. He bends to observe a small cluster of wildflowers near the bank. Their petals open gradually, welcoming the warmth. Open, receive, rest. He straightens and breathes deeply. In, sunlight warming his chest. Out, a gentle release into the open air. The village continues to awaken behind him. Carts roll slowly along stone paths. Voices greet one another softly. Work begins, yet without frenzy. He feels the same calm rhythm moving through it all. Balance does not mean silence. It means steady flow. He turns back toward the workshop, carrying no tools, no herbs, no flame. Only awareness. Inside, sunlight fills the room again. The vessel on the shelf glows quietly, unchanged by the passing hours. He touches the wood of the table once more. Solid, steady. The gentle experiment lives now in every ordinary moment, in the way he walks without hurry, in the way he breathes without strain, in the way he allows light to come and go, without resistance. He steps outside again and looks toward the wide horizon. The world turns. The sky brightens, the stream flows, and he stands calmly within it all, balanced not because he holds anything still, but because he moves gently with what already is, breath by breath, light by light, day into day. The morning stretches into late morning with the same quiet steadiness. Clouds drift lazily across the wide sky, offering moments of shade before passing on. The alchemist walks back through the village path, noticing how each doorway holds its own small world. A pot simmers gently inside one home, steam rising in thin, twisting ribbons. Rise, fade. A tailor sits by a window, guiding needle through cloth in slow repetition. In, out, pull. Every motion carries its own rhythm. The alchemist does not interrupt. He only observes how life balances itself through small, repeated acts. He pauses near the well once more and lowers the bucket. The rope slides through his hands in even measure. Down. Pause. Up. The water reflects the bright sky, rippling briefly before settling. He lifts the bucket and watches the surface smooth itself again. Nothing demands correction. Everything finds its level. He carries a small measure of water back to his workshop. Inside, sunlight rests across the floor in bright rectangles. Dust motes drift in silent patterns. He places the water beside the table and sits quietly. No flame, no mixing, just presence. He realizes that balance is not something fragile. It does not shatter with noise. It does not vanish with motion. It remains beneath it all, steady as the turning earth. He closes his eyes and breathes once more. In, warmth filling his lungs. Out, a slow release into calm. Outside, the stream continues. The wind continues. And so does he, walking gently within the endless, patient rhythm of the world. The sun begins its slow journey downward once again. Light softens from bright white to gentle gold. The alchemist steps outside and feels the warmth easing against his skin. The village hum fades slightly as tasks near completion. Tools are set aside. Voices grow quieter. A soft wind moves through the fields, bending tall grasses in long waves. Bend, return. He walks toward the stream once more, noticing how the water now reflects the warmer tones of late afternoon. Gold streaks shimmer across its surface. The current beneath remains steady. He kneels and places his palm flat against the earth. The soil still holds warmth from the sun, warm above, cool below, perfect middle. He closes his eyes and breathes deeply, in, carrying the softened light of day, out, releasing gently into gathering calm. A bird calls once before settling into its nest. The sky begins its quiet transition once more. He stands and returns slowly to his workshop. The open door welcomes him back inside. Sunlight enters at a lower angle now, casting long shadows across the floor. The vessel on the shelf glows faintly in the amber light. He does not touch it. He simply stands in the center of the room, breathing steadily. The gentle experiment continues in the fading of day, in the cooling of stone, in the lengthening of shadow, in the soft shift from motion to rest. And as evening approaches once more, the alchemist remains calm within the turning, balanced not by control, but by quiet allowance of each moment as it arrives and departs. Evening settles slowly, like a soft cloak placed over the shoulders of the village. The sky deepens into amber, then rose, then quiet violet. The alchemist stands at the threshold of his workshop and watches the colors change without hurry. A cart rolls by one last time. Its wheels turn steadily over stone. Turn, turn. Then silence. A window closes gently somewhere down the path. The air cools by small degrees. He steps back inside and lights a single candle once more. The flame rises calmly. Small, steady. Warm light touches the stone walls again. He sits upon his stool and folds his hands loosely in his lap. Outside, the final birdsong fades into the growing hush. Night does not fall suddenly. It arrives gently, layer by layer. He breathes deeply. In, carrying the last warmth of daylight. Out, releasing into the softness of dusk. The vessel on the shelf catches the candlelight and glows faintly. Unchanged. Balanced. He understands now that nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be removed. The world turns with or without effort. Clouds drift across the sky. The first star appears once more. The cycle repeats, yet never feels repetitive. He closes his eyes for a moment and listens. The stream continues its murmur beyond the fields. The wind brushes lightly against the wooden door. And within the calm center of his workshop, the gentle experiment continues. Not in glass or flame alone, but in the steady rhythm of breath and awareness. As twilight deepens into night once again, the alchemist rests peacefully inside the balance he once sought to understand. The candle burns lower as night deepens around him. Its small flame bends gently when the breeze slips through the open window, then steadies again. Bend, return. The alchemist watches without thought, his breathing slow and even. Outside, the moon rises gradually above the darkened fields. Silver light replaces the fading amber of dusk. The village grows quiet once more. Doors closed. Lanterns dimmed. Only the distant murmur of the stream remains constant. He cups his hand briefly around the candle flame, feeling its warmth against the cool night air. Warm, cool. Two currents meeting. He lowers his hand and allows the candle to burn a little longer. Nothing must be rushed, not even rest. The shadows in the workshop shift softly as the moon climbs higher. Light and darkness trade places across the floor. He inhales deeply. In, night air cool and gentle. Out, moonlight fills the quiet space where the candle once burned. The room feels cooler now, yet not cold. Just calm. The alchemist remains seated, eyes half closed, listening to the small sounds of night. A distant owl calls once. The stream answers with its steady murmur. The wind moves gently across the roof, brushing the wooden beams with a soft sigh. Everything feels unhurried. He lowers his chin slightly and lets his breathing deepen once more. In, cool air flowing softly inward. Out, warm breath returning to the room. There is no difference now between the balance in the world outside and the balance within him. The grasses bow and rise in the fields. The water flows between stone banks. The sky turns slowly above, and he remains steady in the center of it all, not controlling, not correcting, only allowing. The shadows shift across the floor as clouds pass over the moon. Light dims. Nothing remains fixed. Nothing is lost. He feels the quiet pulse of his own heart, warm against the cool night air. The gentle experiment continues without flame, without glass, without effort. It lives in this stillness, in the quiet acceptance of change. And as the night deepens fully once more, the alchemist surrenders gently to rest, balanced, untroubled, carried softly by the endless rhythm of the turning world. Late night settles fully once more. The moon stands high above the quiet village. Silver light spreads across rooftops and fields like a calm tide. Inside the workshop, the alchemist remains seated in the gentle glow of moonlight. He no longer watches the shadows. He no longer listens for each sound. He simply rests within them. Outside, the stream continues its endless whisper, water over stone. A balance so natural it needs no tending. The grasses bend softly in the cool breeze. Their movement is slow and untroubled. Bend. Return. The alchemist inhales deeply. In, night air cool and spacious. Out, warm breath dissolving into stillness. He feels how the body mirrors the world. Warmth rising and falling. Breath entering and leaving. Nothing held too tightly. Clouds drift across the moon again. Light dims slightly in the workshop, then returns as the cloud passes. Light, dark. Light again. No resistance. Only transition. His thoughts grow lighter now. Less formed. More like mist over the meadow. They appear. They soften. They fade. He notices the quiet space between one breath and the next. That gentle pause. The pause where nothing moves. Yet everything exists. The night stretches on in quiet patience. No sudden sound disturbs it. No hurried motion breaks its calm surface. The alchemist feels the cool air deepen slightly as the hours pass. He shifts only enough to sit more comfortably. No urgency, no stiffness. Outside, the stream continues its soft murmur, its voice steady, unchanged by darkness. The wind has grown softer. Stillness settles more completely over the fields. He breathes in slowly. In, cool night filling his chest. Out, a gentle warmth, released back into the room. He senses how each breath shapes a quiet circle. Beginning, middle, end. Then beginning again. Like the turning of the earth beneath the stars. Clouds have drifted away now. The moon shines unobstructed. Its silver light rests across the stone floor, outlining the edges of the table and shelf. The vessel upon the shelf reflects a faint glow, unmoving, unchanged. He understands that balance is not fragile. It does not depend on still skies. It continues beneath all conditions. His thoughts grow lighter still, like leaves carried gently along the stream. They do not stay. They do not cling. They pass. He notices again the quiet space between breaths. That small pause, where nothing pushes forward, where nothing pulls back. He rests there. The gentle experiment now lives in that pause, in the space where warmth and coolness meet without conflict. And as the night moves gradually toward its deepest hour, the alchemist remains steady, balanced in body, balanced in breath, balanced in the endless turning of the silent world. The deepest hour of night arrives quietly. No bell announces it. No shadow marks its edge. It simply settles, a deeper shade of stillness resting over the land. The alchemist feels it like a soft weight of calm pressing gently downward. Even the stream seems quieter now. Not slower, just softer. The air through the open window is cooler. It brushes his cheeks and moves on. He allows his spine to relax further against the back of the stool. His hands rest open, nothing clenched, nothing held. In, a long, cool breath. Out, a slower, warmer release. The rhythm continues on its own. He notices that he is no longer guiding his breath. It guides itself. Just as the moon moves without instruction, just as the earth turns without effort, stars shimmer overhead in silent arcs. Time flows, yet it feels still. Inside the workshop, shadows are deep and gentle, edges blurred, shapes softened. The vessel on the shelf is barely visible now, just a faint outline in silver light. It does not need tending. Balance has already settled. His thoughts have thinned to almost nothing, like mist dissolving before dawn. There is only breath. In, pause. Out, pause. The pause grows longer, more spacious. He rests within that space, suspended gently between breaths. No intention, only quiet being. And in that deepest hour before dawn begins its subtle return, the alchemist sits in perfect stillness, not seeking balance, not creating harmony, but living within it. The deepest hour slowly begins to soften, not with sound, not with light, but with a subtle shift in the air. The alchemist senses it even before the sky begins to pale. The coolness carries a faint promise now, a whisper of change. He remains still, eyes closed, breathing in that quiet transition. In, night air, calm and spacious. Out, warmth dissolving into silence. Outside, the stars seem less sharp, their brilliance gentles by degrees too small to measure. The moon lowers slowly toward the horizon. The stream continues, unchanged, yet the world around it prepares to brighten. A single bird stirs somewhere in the distance. One tentative note. Then stillness again. The alchemist's shoulders relax completely now, his breath so steady it almost disappears into the quiet. In, pause, out, pause. The pause feels wider than before, like open sky before sunrise. Shadows in the workshop grow softer at their edges. Darkness loosens its hold. He opens his eyes, slowly. The room is still dim, yet not as dark as before. The gentle experiment turns once more toward morning. Night becoming dawn, he rises carefully and steps toward the window. A thin ribbon of pale grey rests along the far horizon. The fields are only shapes now, waiting for light. He places his palm on the cool stone ledge, feels the last of the night's chill. Soon warmth will return. The ribbon of pale grey slowly widens across the horizon. The world is neither night nor day. It rests in between. The alchemist stands quietly at the window, watching this gentle meeting. The fields begin to reveal their shape. The stream becomes visible again as a faint silver line. Mist hovers low, as though reluctant to leave. He breathes in deeply. In, cool air touched by the promise of light. Out, a soft release into the growing dawn. The first true bird call rises clearly now. Then another answers. Sound returns carefully to the world. Light follows slowly. A hint of gold touches the distant hills, then spreads outward in widening bands. The alchemist feels the warmth before it reaches his face. A subtle shift in temperature, night's coolness giving way to day's gentle heat. He closes his eyes for a brief moment and simply listens. The stream continues. The grasses stir lightly. Nothing dramatic, nothing forced, only transition. He steps outside onto the cobbled path. Dew rests on the stones. The air feels crisp and new. The village remains quiet for a few moments longer. He stands still, letting dawn fully unfold around him. In, morning light filling his chest. Out, peace settling deeper within him. The gentle experiment has returned once more to its beginning. Darkness into light, stillness into motion, and through it all, balance remains unchanged beneath every shift. The sun rises slowly, touching rooftops and fields alike. Another day begins, and the alchemist stands calmly within it, not searching, not adjusting, simply breathing softly inside the endless patient rhythm of the turning world. The sun lifts a little higher, and gold spreads across the meadow in quiet waves. Dew begins to disappear from the grasses, rising into air that grows warmer by small degrees. The alchemist walks slowly along the edge of the village once more. He notices how the first doors open gently, how footsteps return to the cobbled path without urgency. A woman carries a basket of herbs past him. Their scent drifts lightly on the morning breeze. Fresh, earthy, alive. He nods softly and continues walking. The stream reflects the brightening sky now. Its surface glimmers in scattered points of light. Beneath that shimmer, the current remains steady. Surface brightness. Deep calm. He kneels briefly and lets his fingers brush the water again. Coolness meeting the growing warmth of day. Opposites sharing space. He stands and closes his eyes, feeling sunlight touch his forehead. In, light and warmth entering gently. Out, a long, easy breath returning to the world. The village hum begins to rise behind him, cartwheels turning, tools being lifted, voices greeting one another. Yet nothing feels hurried. He understands now that balance is not the absence of movement. It is movement guided by awareness. He walks back toward his workshop, sunlight filling the doorway ahead. Inside, the vessel on the shelf glows faintly in the morning light. Unchanged, complete. He smiles softly. The gentle experiment continues not through flame or glass, but through the simple rhythm of being present. Breath by breath, step by step. As another day unfolds within the steady, patient turning of the world, the morning grows fuller, yet it never feels rushed. Sunlight spreads across rooftops and fields in steady layers. Shadows shorten, then soften. The alchemist steps inside his workshop and leaves the door open. Warm air flows in. Cool air flows out. Exchange without effort. He runs his fingers lightly along the wooden table. The surface is warm now, touched by the sun. He pours a small cup of water from the basin once more. The surface ripples gently, then becomes clear again. Ripple. Stillness. He lifts the cup and drinks slowly. Coolness meeting warmth. Outside, the village hum strengthens. Hammer striking wood. A cart rolling along stone. Laughter drifting briefly through open air. The sounds blend together like threads in woven cloth. Nothing stands alone. Nothing overwhelms. He sits upon the stool and closes his eyes for a moment. In, warm light filling his chest. Out, a calm release into presence. The gentle experiment continues in every ordinary action, in lifting a cup, in setting it down, in standing without hurry. He rises and steps outside again. The stream glitters brightly beneath the open sky. Grasses sway gently in the breeze. The sun climbs higher, yet remains kind. He feels no need to measure the day. No need to direct it. Balance unfolds naturally, just as it did in flame and glass. He breathes slowly, steady, and calm. The world turns. Light shifts. Water flows. And within that endless motion, the alchemist remains present, balanced not by control, but by quiet awareness of each unfolding moment. Late morning drifts gently toward midday. The sky grows brighter, yet the air remains soft. The alchemist walks once more toward the fields beyond the village. He notices how the earth feels warmer beneath his steps, how the grasses sway in wider arcs under a slightly stronger breeze. Nothing pushes too hard, nothing strains. He reaches the small wooden bridge over the stream and pauses. Sunlight dances across the water in scattered flashes. Yet beneath that sparkle, the current remains smooth and steady. He rests his hands upon the rail, warm wood beneath his palms, cool water flowing below. Contrast held in harmony. He inhales deeply. In, the brightness of midday filling his lungs. Out, a long breath that carries no tension. A farmer works in the distance, turning soil in measured rhythm. Lift, turn, step, lift, turn. The alchemist watches quietly. Even effort can be balanced when it moves in steady rhythm. He leaves the bridge and walks along the stream's edge once more. Birds circle slowly overhead. The world feels alive, yet calm. He closes his eyes briefly and listens. Water, wind, footsteps on earth, all moving together without conflict. The gentle experiment continues through midday light, just as it did beneath moonlight. Balance does not belong to 1 hour. It belongs to all hours. He stands beneath the open sky, breathing steadily, present, unhurried, at ease within the turning of the day. Midday settles fully over the land. The sun stands high, yet its warmth feels steady rather than sharp. The alchemist finds a patch of shade beneath a lone tree near the stream. He lowers himself slowly to the ground. The earth beneath him is warm from the sun, yet cool where shadow rests. Warm, cool. He leans his back gently against the rough bark. Leaves above him shimmer softly in the breeze. Light filters through them in shifting patterns. Light, shade, light again. He watches how the shadows move across his hands. Nothing remains fixed. Nothing resists change. A bee hums lazily from one blossom to another. Land, pause, lift. The rhythm is everywhere. He breathes in deeply. In, the scent of grass and warm soil. Out, a slow release into quiet stillness. The stream continues its steady flow nearby. Sunlight scatters across its surface like scattered coins of gold. Beneath that brightness, the current remains calm. Deep steadiness. He closes his eyes and rests there for a few long breaths. In, warm midday air filling his chest. Out, ease spreading through his body. The gentle experiment lives in this simple balance between sun and shade, between motion and rest. He does not sleep. He does not think. He simply exists within the moment. And as the midday sun slowly begins its quiet descent, the alchemist remains at peace, carried gently by the endless rhythm of light shifting across the turning earth. The sun begins its slow descent from its highest place in the sky. Not abruptly, not noticeably at first. Just a gentle leaning westward. The alchemist opens his eyes and watches the shift in light through the leaves above him. The shadows grow slightly longer. The brightness softens by a quiet degree. He rises from beneath the tree and brushes the earth lightly from his robe. No rush, No strain. The stream beside him continues its steady murmur, unchanged by the hour. He walks along its edge once more, noticing how the color of the water has shifted from bright white gold to a softer amber tone. Change in appearance. Steadiness beneath. He pauses and watches a cluster of reeds bend gently in the breeze. Bend. Return. The movement is slower now, more relaxed. The air carries warmth still, but with a faint cooling beneath it. He inhales deeply. In, the lingering warmth of day. Out, a long breath that carries no resistance. The village hum begins to soften in the distance. Fewer hammer strikes, quieter footsteps, the rhythm of effort moving slowly toward rest. He turns back toward his workshop, following the familiar path across the meadow. The sky begins to take on the faintest tint of gold again, another transition beginning. He feels no need to prepare for it. The day knows how to become evening on its own. Balance is not commanded. It unfolds. He steps into the doorway of his workshop as sunlight enters at a lower angle. The vessel on the shelf catches the softened glow once more. Unmoving, complete, he stands quietly in the center of the room. Breathing. In. Softened light filling his chest. Out, the afternoon light grows warmer, more golden, as it slides lower across the fields. The alchemist steps outside once again and stands at the edge of the path. The sky now holds layers of soft color, pale gold near the sun, deeper blue overhead. A breeze passes gently through the grasses, slower now, as if the wind itself is easing into rest. He walks toward the stream once more. Its surface reflects the changing sky like a living mirror, gold, deepening into amber, amber slowly hinting at rose. He rests his hands lightly on the wooden bridge railing. The wood is warm but no longer hot, heat releasing into air. He notices how the current remains steady even as the colors above it shift, movement within change. He inhales slowly. In, the mellow warmth of late afternoon. Out, a soft surrender into gathering calm. A farmer nearby sets aside his tools. The rhythm of work has slowed. Lift, pause, rest. The village sounds fade to softer tones. Doors begin to close. Voices lower into evening quiet. The alchemist turns back toward his workshop. The sun hovers just above the distant hills. He pauses once more before entering. The sky now glows in layered hues. Gold, rose, violet, day releasing itself without resistance. He steps inside and leaves the door open, allowing twilight to flow inward naturally. No candle yet, no flame needed. He sits upon his stool and watches as the light dims slowly. The gentle experiment continues in this quiet surrender of brightness into shadow. Nothing forced, nothing hurried, only balance shifting form. And as the sun lowers beyond the horizon, the alchemist remains steady within the turning, breathing softly, allowing evening to arrive exactly as it must. The sun slips below the hills, and the sky lingers in a soft afterglow. Gold fades into rose. Rose deepens into violet. The alchemist sits quietly, allowing the last light of day to rest upon the stone walls. Outside, the village exhales. A final cart rolls past. A final door closes with a gentle thud. Silence grows, not empty, but full. He watches as twilight thins and the first star appears overhead, one small point of light in a wide sky. Soon, another joins it, then another. Night returning, as it always does. He rises slowly and lights a single candle. The flame stands calm and upright, small, sufficient. Warm light touches the wooden table and the shelf where the vessel rests. The liquid inside glows faintly in reflection. He does not approach it. He does not adjust anything. The experiment needs no tending. He sits again and breathes deeply. In, the warmth of flame filling his chest. Out, a slow release into the cooling air. The breeze slips through the open doorway and leans the candle slightly. Lean, return. The rhythm is familiar now. Outside, the stream murmurs softly in the dark. The grasses whisper in low arcs. Light and shadow share the room. Warmth and coolness meet gently. And as night settles fully once more over the quiet village, the alchemist rests in steady awareness, balanced not because the world is still, but because he moves softly within its endless turning. The candle burns quietly, its small flame steady in the deepening night. The alchemist watches how the wax softens and gathers around the wick. Slow transformation. No urgency. Outside, the moon rises once more above the fields. Silver light spreads gently across rooftops and grasses. The village grows silent. Only the steady murmur of the stream continues its endless path. He inhales deeply. In, cool night air mixing with candle warmth. Out, a slow, easy breath. The flame leans slightly as a breeze enters, then straightens. The rhythm remains unchanged. He cups his hand briefly around the flame, feeling the contrast between heat and cool air. Warm, cool, neither overpowering the other. He lowers his hand and lets the candle continue its gentle glow. The vessel on the shelf reflects both moonlight and flame. Two lights meeting in one quiet surface. Surface calm, inner stillness. He feels the quiet pulse of his heart, steady, balanced. Thoughts drift lightly through his mind like clouds crossing the moon. They appear. They soften. They pass. He does not follow them. He simply breathes. In, out. The gentle experiment continues without effort. Not in bubbling glass, not in burning flame, but in this quiet exchange between warmth and coolness, between motion and rest. As the night deepens once more, the alchemist allows himself to settle further into the stillness, balanced, untroubled, carried softly by the endless rhythm of the turning world. The candle grows shorter, its light softer now. The flame no longer stands tall. It hums quietly, content in its small circle of glow. The alchemist watches the wax pool widen and then settle, everything easing toward rest. Outside, the moon climbs higher. Its silver light spreads across the stone floor, mingling gently with the candle's warm amber. Two lights, two temperatures. Sharing the same space, he feels the balance in that meeting. In, cool air brushing his skin. Out, warm breath drifting forward. The stream continues its patient murmur in the darkness, steady as ever. The grasses bend softly in the night breeze. Bend, return. Clouds move slowly across the sky, passing before the moon and dimming the room for a moment. Light fades. Light returns. Nothing is disturbed. He rests his hands open on his knees, shoulders loose, jaw relaxed. Thoughts have grown thin and distant, like mist over water. The candle flickers once more, its flame narrowing to a small bright thread. He leans forward and gently extinguishes it with a quiet breath. Smoke curls upward in a slow spiral, then dissolves. Darkness settles completely, moonlight alone now. Soft, cool, endless. He sits in that silver quiet and listens. The stream, The wind, the faint rustle of leaves, everything in quiet agreement. The gentle experiment continues in its purest form. Breath rising, breath falling. No flame required, no glass vessel. Only presence within the turning of night. And slowly, gently, the alchemist allows himself to drift toward rest once more, balanced beneath the watching stars. The moonlight grows softer as a thin veil of cloud drifts across the sky. The workshop dims slightly, then brightens again as the cloud passes. The alchemist remains seated, unmoving, yet fully at ease. He feels the cool stone beneath his feet, the faint warmth still lingering in the air from earlier hours, two temperatures meeting gently. He inhales. In, night air calm and spacious. Out, a slow release that carries no tension. Outside, the stream continues its endless conversation with the banks of earth, water over stone. Steady exchange. A distant owl calls once more. The sound fades into open fields. Silence follows. His breathing grows even slower now. In, pause, out, pause. The pause feels wide and peaceful. He rests within that quiet space between breaths. There is no need to think, no need to plan, only the soft rhythm of being here. Clouds drift away from the moon. Stars shine clearly once again. The world turns gently beneath them. And within the small stone workshop at the edge of the sleeping village, the alchemist rests in simple awareness, balanced not because nothing changes, but because he allows each change to pass without resistance, breath by breath, until the night carries him softly into deeper rest once more. The night grows quieter than before. Even the breeze seems to rest. The alchemist feels his body growing heavier, yet peaceful, supported by the steady stool, supported by the unmoving stone walls. Outside, the stream continues, though its sound feels more distant now, as if the world itself is softening. He inhales slowly. In, cool, gentle night. Out, a warm, quiet breath. His thoughts are no longer words. They are only faint impressions, drifting and dissolving. Clouds pass slowly across the moon again. Light dims, light returns. The rhythm repeats. Nothing urgent, nothing loud, only the steady turning of the earth beneath the stars. His breathing becomes deeper still. In, pause. Out, pause. The pause stretches wider. In that space, there is no effort, no seeking. Only calm presence. The workshop feels like part of the night itself now. Walls blending with shadow. Floor glowing faintly in silver light. He lowers his head slightly, shoulders completely relaxed. The gentle experiment has become nothing more than this. Breath. Pause. Outside, the stars continue their silent arc. Inside, the alchemist drifts softly into deeper rest. Balanced, untroubled, carried gently by the endless rhythm of night turning toward another unseen dawn. The night settles into its deepest quiet once more. No footsteps, no voices, only the faint murmur of water in the distance, and the slow turning of the world. The alchemist's breathing is now so soft it blends with the silence. In, barely felt. Out, barely heard. Moonlight stretches across the stone floor like a silver path. It reaches the legs of the table. It touches the edge of the shelf, then shifts slowly as the earth turns. Nothing stands still for long, yet nothing feels hurried. His hands rest loosely at his sides, fingers relaxed. The air through the open window grows slightly cooler again. night deepening toward its quiet center. A distant breeze brushes the grasses in the meadow. Wave, settle, wave. He no longer watches. He no longer listens with intention. He simply exists within the steady rhythm of it all. The gentle experiment has dissolved into being itself. No flame, no glass. Only breath meeting stillness. In, pause. Out, pause. Each cycle slower than the last. Above the workshop, the stars drift in silent arcs. The moon lowers almost imperceptibly. And in the small stone room at the edge of the sleeping village, the alchemist rests fully within the balance he once sought, carried gently by the endless, patient turning of night. The moon lowers slowly toward the far hills. Its silver light thins across the stone floor. Shadows stretch longer, softer. The alchemist remains still, breath steady and light. The night air cools by another gentle degree. It moves through the open window and settles around him like a calm tide. In, coolness entering quietly. Out, warmth dissolving into shadow. The stream continues its steady murmur. Constant, untroubled, a faint hint of pale grey begins to gather at the very edge of the horizon, so subtle it might be imagined. The deepest hour slowly begins to soften. He senses it without opening his eyes. The air feels lighter, less heavy with darkness. The stars begin to fade, one by one. The world prepares to turn again. He lowers his chin slightly and lets his breath slow even further. In, pause. Out, pause. The pause feels wide and open. In that quiet space, balance needs no tending. It simply exists. A distant bird stirs once in the fields, then quiet returns. The sky continues its gradual shift, night becoming dawn. The gentle experiment circles back once more, darkness into light, stillness into motion. And within the small workshop, the alchemist rests calmly at the center of it all, balanced not by effort, but by soft surrender to the endless rhythm of change. The pale grey along the horizon slowly widens. Darkness loosens its hold without resistance. The moon fades into the thinning night. Stars soften and disappear one by one. The alchemist opens his eyes gently. No sudden movement, no urgency, only awareness returning like a quiet tide. The workshop is dim but no longer dark. Shapes take form in soft outlines. The table, the resting vessel. He breathes in deeply. In, the final coolness of night. Out, a slow release into the promise of morning. Outside, the stream remains unchanged. Its steady murmur bridges night and day without pause. A bird calls clearly now. Another answers from farther away. Sound returns to the world in gentle layers. He rises from the stool and steps toward the window. A thin ribbon of gold touches the distant hills. Light spreads slowly across the meadow. Mist hovers low, then begins to lift. The village rests for a few moments more before stirring. He places his hand on the cool stone ledge, feels the contrast between night's chill and the approaching warmth. Opposites meeting once again. He closes his eyes briefly and breathes. In, morning air, fresh and clean. Out, peace settling deeper within him. The gentle experiment continues its endless turning. Night into dawn, stillness into movement. And as the first sunlight touches the edge of the workshop floor, the alchemist stands quietly, balanced in the simple rhythm of breath, ready to move softly within another unfolding day. The first rays of sunlight slip quietly into the workshop. They stretch across the stone floor in long golden lines. The air feels different now, lighter, warmer. The alchemist steps outside and lets the early light rest upon his face. Cool air still lingers in the shade, while warmth gathers in open space. Two currents meeting gently. The village begins to stir once more. A shutter opens. A broom brushes softly against stone. The stream glitters under the new sun, its surface bright with reflection, its current steady beneath. He walks toward it at his unhurried pace, each step measured, each breath even. He kneels beside the water and watches sunlight scatter across its surface. Sparkle above, calm below. He dips his fingers briefly into the current, coolness greeting warmth. Balance remains through every change. He stands and looks across the fields. The grasses sway lightly in the morning breeze. Birds move in gentle arcs across the sky. Life returns. Yet nothing feels chaotic. He breathes deeply. In, light filling his chest. Out, a steady release into calm awareness. The gentle experiment continues. Not in flame or glass, but in this simple presence within each turning moment. The sun climbs higher, the day unfolds, and the alchemist walks softly within it, balanced, steady, at peace inside the endless rhythm of the world. Morning ripens slowly into mid-morning. The sky grows clearer, brighter, yet still gentle. The alchemist walks back toward his workshop, sunlight warming the path ahead of him. He notices how shadows shorten beneath the rooftops, how the air carries the scent of fresh bread and damp earth. The village hum rises in soft layers, a cartwheel turning, a hammer tapping lightly, voices greeting one another. Nothing sharp, nothing hurried. He steps inside and lets the sunlight fill the room completely. The vessel on the shelf glows quietly, unchanged by passing hours. He runs his fingers along the table's wooden grain. Solid, steady. He pours a small cup of water and watches the surface ripple. Ripple. Stillness. He lifts it and drinks slowly. Cool water against warm morning air. Contrast held in harmony. He sits upon the stool once more and closes his eyes. In, warmth entering gently. Out, calm settling deeper within him. The gentle experiment continues not in grand gestures, but in simple acts done with awareness. In how he lifts the cup. In how he stands and walks without hurry. Outside, the stream continues its endless path. The grasses sway. The sky stretches wide. And within that steady turning, the alchemist remains present, balanced in motion, balanced in breath. Late morning eases toward noon without announcement. The sun climbs a little higher, and warmth gathers across stone and soil. The alchemist steps outside again and walks beyond the last cottage, where the fields open wide, the grasses shimmer under bright light. Insects hum softly in the air. He moves toward the shade of a lone tree beside the stream. There he settles slowly to the ground. The earth beneath him holds warmth from the rising sun, yet remains cool where shadow rests. Warm and cool sharing space. Leaves above him stir gently. Light filters through in shifting patterns. Light, shade, light again. The stream glides beside him, bright on the surface, steady beneath. He inhales deeply. In, the scent of warm grass and moving water. Out, a slow release into ease. A bee drifts lazily from flower to flower. Land. Pause. Lift. The rhythm of small life mirrors the larger rhythm of the world. He rests his hands loosely on his knees. No task before him. no formula to measure. The gentle experiment lives in this simple balance between sunlight and shade, between motion and stillness. He closes his eyes briefly and listens. Water, wind, the distant hum of village life. Midday stands quietly above the fields. The sun is high, yet its warmth feels even and steady. The alchemist opens his eyes and watches the light flicker through the leaves overhead. The breeze moves gently. Not strong, not absent, just enough. He rises slowly from the base of the tree and walks toward the stream once more. The water is bright beneath the noon sky. Reflections shimmer like scattered glass. Yet beneath that brilliance, the current remains smooth and calm. He kneels and cups a little water in his hands. Cool against warm skin, return without resistance. He stands and listens. The world at midday is alive but not chaotic. Insects hum, birds circle lazily. A distant voice carries across the meadow and fades. Everything holds its place. He breathes in deeply. In, warm air filling his chest. Out, a soft release into stillness. The gentle experiment continues, even under bright sun. It lives in full light as well. He walks back toward the village path. The cobbled stones are warmer now. The air holds the scent of baked bread and cut grass. He moves without hurry, step after step. Even effort can be balanced when done with care. And as midday slowly begins its quiet lean toward afternoon, the alchemist remains calm, carrying the same steady rhythm within him that flows through water, wind, and light alike. The sun begins its slow descent from its highest place, not suddenly, not dramatically, just a subtle leaning westward. The alchemist feels the shift before he sees it. The light softens by the smallest degree. The warmth grows rounder, less sharp. He walks along the village path once more, noticing how the hum of work continues, yet with a quieter undertone. A blacksmith strikes iron in measured rhythm. Strike. Pause. Strike. A woman turns bread in her oven, careful and steady. Turn. Check. Close. Each action flows without haste. He pauses at the well and lowers the bucket once more. A rope glides through his hands. Down, splash, up. The water trembles briefly in the bucket, then settles into smooth reflection. He watches how quickly the surface finds its balance. Nothing forces it. It simply returns. He carries a small measure of water back toward his workshop. Sunlight enters at a lower angle now, stretching longer across the floor. The vessel on the shelf glows faintly in the softened light. Unmoved, unchanged, he sets the water down and sits quietly. In, warm afternoon air filling his lungs. Out, a slow, steady release. The gentle experiment continues in the way light shifts across stone, in the way air cools by degrees too small to measure, in the way breath rises and falls without command. And as afternoon begins to lean toward evening once again, the alchemist remains centered, balanced not because the world stands still, but because he moves softly with its endless turning. The afternoon light grows deeper, more golden, as it slides towards the horizon. Shadows lengthen quietly across the cobbled path. The air carries a softer warmth now, touched with the faintest hint of cool. The alchemist steps outside his workshop and pauses in the doorway. He watches the village slow its rhythm. Tools are set down, voices grow lower. Footsteps lighten, effort easing into rest. He walks once more toward the stream. The water reflects amber and rose as the sky begins its evening transformation. surface color shifting gently, current steady beneath. He rests his hands on the wooden bridge railing. The wood holds the last warmth of day, warm fading into cool. He breathes in deeply. In, the mellow air of late afternoon. Out, a soft surrender into calm. A breeze passes through the grasses in long, slow waves. Wave. Settle. The world prepares itself for evening without instruction. He turns back toward his workshop, the sky now layered in gold and violet. He leaves the door open and allows twilight to enter naturally. No flame yet. No need to rush light into darkness. He sits upon the stool and watches the room dim by degrees. Too small to measure. Light softening. Edges blurring. The gentle experiment continues in this quiet surrender of brightness into shadow. Balance shifting shape, yet never lost. And as the sun lowers beyond the hills once again, the alchemist remains still and steady, breathing softly, allowing evening to arrive exactly as it must. The sun disappears beyond the hills, and the sky lingers in soft afterglow. Gold fades into rose, rose deepens into violet. The alchemist sits quietly, watching the final colors stretch across the horizon. The village exhales once more. A final door closes. A final cartwheel turns and then falls silent. Evening settles gently over rooftops and fields. He rises and lights a single candle. The flame lifts softly, not large, not restless, just enough to warm the edges of the room. Warm light touches stone and wood. The vessel on the shelf glows faintly in reflection. He sits again and folds his hands loosely in his lap. Outside, the first star appears in the deepening sky. Another follows, night returning without effort. He breathes deeply. In, warm candlelight filling his chest. Out, a slow release into cooling air. The breeze slips through the doorway and leans the flame slightly. Lean, return. The rhythm is familiar. The stream murmurs in the distance. The grasses whisper in soft arcs. Light and shadow share the room. Warmth and coolness meet without conflict. The gentle experiment continues in this quiet meeting of elements. He does not seek to change anything. He does not measure or adjust. He simply allows night to arrive fully. And as darkness deepens once more, the alchemist rests within the steady balance, breathing softly, present in the endless turning of day into night. The candle flame grows smaller as the night deepens around it. Its light hums gently against the stone walls. A small, steady glow in a wide, quiet room. The alchemist watches the wax soften and gather at the base of the wick. Slow change, unforced. Outside, the moon rises above the fields once more. Silver light spreads across rooftops and meadow grass. The village falls silent. Only the stream continues its soft, endless murmur. He inhales slowly. In, cool night air mingling with candle warmth. Out, a long, unhurried breath. The flame bends when a breeze slips through the open door, then straightens again. Bend. Return. He smiles faintly at the rhythm. Nothing resists. Nothing clings. He cups his hand briefly around the flame and feels the warmth against his skin. Warm meeting cool. He lowers his hand and allows the candle to burn a little longer. The vessel on the shelf reflects both moonlight and flame, two lights touching the same still surface. Surface calm, inner quiet. His thoughts grow thin and distant, like clouds drifting across the moon. They appear, they pass. He does not follow them. He simply breathes. In, out. The gentle experiment now lives in this quiet exchange between breath and stillness. No glass, no flame required, only presence. And as the candle flickers one final time, the alchemist leans forward and gently extinguishes it with a soft breath. Smoke rises in a slow spiral, then dissolves into the silver air. Darkness returns, calm and complete. Moonlight alone fills the workshop, and he remains seated in that quiet glow, balanced beneath the endless turning of the stars. The moon lowers by degrees too small to measure. Its silver path across the floor shortens slowly. The air grows cooler, deeper. The alchemist remains still, his breath so soft it nearly disappears into the quiet. Outside, the stream continues its steady murmur, a constant thread woven through the darkness. He feels the night settling into its deepest layer. No movement required. No adjustment needed. In, coolness filling his chest. Out, warmth returning gently to the room. The stars drift silently overhead. Clouds thin and pass without disturbance. The world is neither restless nor rigid. It simply turns. He lowers his shoulders another fraction, hands resting open. Thoughts no longer rise. They dissolve before forming. There is only breath. In, pause. Out, pause. The pause feels vast and calm. The gentle experiment has become pure stillness, not an action, but a state of being. Far on the horizon, the faintest hint of grey begins to gather, night preparing to soften once more. He senses it without opening his eyes, another cycle approaching. Darkness easing into light, and within the quiet workshop, the alchemist rests steady at the center of it all, balanced in the endless rhythm of night turning gently toward dawn. The faint grey along the horizon widens slowly. Night does not resist. It simply thins. The moon lowers toward the hills and fades from sight. Stars soften and disappear one by one. The alchemist opens his eyes gently. The workshop is dim but no longer dark. Shapes begin to return in quiet outlines. The table, the shelf, the resting vessel. He breathes in deeply. In the final coolness of night. Out, a slow release into the promise of morning. Outside, the stream continues without pause. Its steady murmur bridges darkness and light. A bird calls clearly in the distance. Another answers. Sound returns in gentle layers. He rises and steps toward the window. A ribbon of pale gold stretches across the hills. Mist lifts slowly from the meadow. The grasses shimmer faintly in the early light. The village remains quiet for a few moments more. He places his palm against the cool stone ledge, feels the contrast between night's chill and the warmth that is coming. Opposites meeting once again. He closes his eyes and breathes. The first sunlight stretches fully across the stone floor. Gold replaces silver. Coolness softens into warmth. The alchemist steps outside one final time and stands at the edge of the quiet village. The fields shimmer under the rising sun. The stream glows like a ribbon of light. Birdsong fills the open air in gentle waves. He breathes in deeply. In, morning warmth filling his chest. Out, a slow release into gratitude. The village begins to stir behind him. Doors open. Footsteps return to the cobbled path. He does not hurry toward it. He does not resist it. He simply stands within it. The gentle experiment has shown him what he sought to understand, that balance is not something created by flame or glass. It is not found only in silence or shadow. It lives in the steady rhythm of change. in night becoming dawn, in warmth meeting coolness, in breath rising and falling without force. He places one hand over his heart, feels the calm pulse beneath his palm, the same rhythm that moves through stream and wind. Through light and darkness, he smiles softly and turns back toward his workshop. The vessel remains upon its shelf. Complete, unchanged, he leaves it there, knowing no further tending is needed. The world will continue to turn. The sun will rise and set. The moon will return. And within every cycle, balance will remain. He steps inside, leaving the door open to morning light, and with one final slow breath, in, out, the alchemist rests fully within the harmony he once searched for, carried gently by the endless, patient rhythm of the turning world. He does not move further. He remains standing in the doorway of the workshop, morning light resting gently on his shoulders. The day has begun, yet there is no urgency within him. He closes his eyes one last time. In, a slow, steady breath. Out, a long and quiet release. The stream continues its endless murmur beyond the meadow. The grasses sway in patient arcs. The village hum grows gradually, yet softly. All things moving, all things balanced. He understands now that the experiment never required perfection. It required attention. Attention to warmth, meeting coolness. Attention to light becoming shadow. Attention to breath rising and falling without force. He steps fully inside the workshop and sits once more upon the stool. Sunlight fills the room completely now. No candle needed. No flame required. The vessel remains on the shelf, complete and undisturbed. He places both hands gently over his heart and feels the steady pulse beneath his palms. That same rhythm, the same balance. In, light entering softly. Out, peace settling deeper still. He allows his breath to slow. In, pause, out. Pause, the pause widens. He notices how the body grows heavier when breath grows softer, how thoughts thin when breath lengthens. Nothing to solve, nothing to change, only this steady descent into rest. Even in daylight, rest is possible. Even in motion, stillness exists. The gentle experiment dissolves into the simplest truth. Balance is always here. In the quiet space between breaths, in the soft meeting of warmth and coolness, in the endless turning of the world that needs no guidance. He lets his shoulders soften fully, lets his jaw relax, lets the breath move on its own. In, out, slower now, calmer now. The world continues without effort around him. The stream flows, the sun rises higher. The village hums gently, and within that quiet rhythm, the alchemist rests. Only breathing, only being, carried gently by the endless harmony that was always present.